Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. So, just want to have a bit of a Man United chat, just a bit of a relaxing one, really, and just have a bit of an overview of what's been going on news-wise. A bit of a recap on the Forest match on the weekend. Now I've had a chance to sort of calm down a little bit, but it's only because we want the best for our club. Your expectations will change over time during the season. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to have your opinions. We live off emotion, so you will say silly things at times as well. You will say things in the moment when your team's just lost or when your team's just won. You'll banter with opposition fans and what have you, especially when you're rivaling against teams like Liverpool and Man City, Arsenal, even Leeds United. So, start off with, I just want to have a quick recap on the Forest game. So, as I was saying in the previous video, I thought we started okay. Seemed to be playing in the same sort of vein as what we have done against like Sunderland, Brighton as well, with elements of Liverpool. Maybe not quite as direct as we did against Liverpool. And obviously getting that goal, although that controversy around whether it was a corner or not, I still see it as we've had loads of decisions that have gone against us, not just in this season, but over the years. And it is a bit of a swings and roundabouts thing. I think probably when you look at it across the season, it probably does average itself out. Prior to that, we had a penalty that we should have had. We didn't get it. Those sort of things do happen. So, okay, the ball didn't fully go out, but Forest have still got to defend it. There's still a lot of game to play before we actually get to the point where Casemiro gets his head on the ball and scores. So, there is a blame on Forest as well at the same time, but I appreciate that the ref called a decision where he couldn't see it. What can we do? Now, going on to like our defending, for example, I did feel like Shaw and De Ligt played pretty well, but as I've probably said in other videos, I think that the three at the back, obviously it's going to take some getting used to because we're not used to it as Man United fans. It's not a system that we've particularly played. Although Ollie sort of played it for a couple of games. Did he play it against PSG once? So I think sometimes the centre-backs are getting in each other's way, or they're not fully positioned correctly, because I think all of them are used to playing in a back four. And I think you generally marshal a side, don't you? Marshal if it's left side or right side, depending on which side you are as a centre-back. But when you've got three, then obviously you're splitting that into a third rather than two. So I know it doesn't sound particularly complicated, but I think it does impact them. And going on to like the goal that Nottingham Forest scored, the first goal, where there's a bit of a mismatch with Ahmad. Obviously, it's the height issue, but I think that would have been better defended if Ahmad would have just pushed on one and got Hudson-Odoi, let's say, for example, who was sort of ghosted in, and then one of the centre-backs push along, so maybe Yoro should have been defending Gibbs-White, and that would have been a better defensive setup. But again, I think sometimes that's just the centre-back's not quite knowing who to pick up or where to be, so that is a bit of an issue. We had most possession. We had 59% possession in that game, but we didn't do much with it, and that's the problem. I think when we're playing against teams that are playing in a low block, then we are struggling to break them down, and there's no evidence that we can break down a team that plays a low block. And I think it's been something that we've struggled with for many years. So this isn't an Amorim thing, and it isn't a 3-4-3 thing. I think even when it's been 4-3-3 and having the man that won't be named down one side, Martial or Rashford, I think we've still struggled. We've done well when we're hitting teams on the break or counter-attack, as you want to call it. But breaking down teams that are hard to who defend deep and have that low block, I think we have struggled to do that for many a year. So it's not a new thing. But we do need to sort it out. I think that's got to be something that Amorim really focuses on in training now, because there is going to be teams like Forest that we need to just put away. We can't be struggling against Forest. I think just to finish up on this, because I don't want to spend too much time on it, is they did target our left-hand side, I'd say, down Dalot's side. I know they targeted Ahmad as well because he's not a out-and-out defender, but they had the joy down the other side. There was a couple of crosses that came in that shouldn't have come in, could have been blocked. And I just don't think we were set up again in the centre to head those balls out when the crosses came in. So I think we struggled there a bit, really, and I think that does really need to be resolved for us to get to the aims that we want to get to in this season. So a bit of Manchester United news. Some strange things have been coming out today. First one, our friend, has he left the Manchester Evening News? I'm not sure if he's gone to the Sun now. Samuel Luckhurst. He's coming out with a story saying that Amorim is related to Dalot. They're like distant relatives. Got some sort of relative that was in the circus or something stupid like that. I mean, I know I'm mentioning it, but I'm just mentioning it more for humour purposes. It's a silly story. Obviously, people are going to run away with it and say there's nepotism and this is why Dalot plays so much. This is why he doesn't drop Dalot, because they're cousins and we're at each other's houses at Christmas and they're sharing presents and all this sort of rubbish. But there's a couple of other players that he plays a lot. I mean, Shaw plays a lot. He's related to Shaw. He doesn't generally sub Bruno. He's related to Bruno. No, okay. There's an argument that he could be related to Bruno because they're both Portuguese, but there's other players in the team that he plays a lot, and in most cases it's from merit. So like Mbeumo, I'd expect Mbeumo to start most games. Are they related? So just a bit of a stupid story, but I thought I'd just bring it up just for the humour side of it, really. I just didn't get the story, if I'm honest. Moving on to one of our legends, Ronaldo. He's had another interview, I believe. I don't know if it's another Piers Morgan one. And generally what he's saying is I don't think he's criticising Amorim. I don't think he would do. I think he's basically saying that Amorim's a good coach, but he can't work miracles. I don't think he feels that there's the ingredients are there for the team to succeed. So Ronaldo believes that we have good players, but they don't have that sort of United DNA. Now, yeah, I think I'd agree with him to a certain extent. I think players like Mbeumo and Cunha can get there. I think they will absorb what United's all about quickly. But one thing I've said before, I've not said it on video, I don't think, but there is a bit of a gap between that sort of, if you want to call it that, and I do think it's a thing, that United DNA, and then that sort of passing of the baton. And I just think we haven't really had that. Like, we've had it in the past where you've had like your Schmeichels and your Roy Keanes and your Scholes, and they've passed it on to other players coming through. And then you've had fringe players that have been able to continue that mantle as well. But we just don't seem to have had it. And I suppose that got lost when Moyes came in, to be honest. That's where it started for me, because there were certain players that weren't really having him. Your Rios and your Evras, they went pretty quickly. I just don't think he really had that player that just knew what Manchester United was all about. And I think that's probably why some coaches have decided to cling on to people like Johnny Evans, for example. You've got Fletcher, that's within the youth setup and the coaching setup. So there's just little fringes of it, but probably just not enough. Someone that really knows what's going on and people would respect. So like Casemiro, that's got that Real Madrid presence. If you had someone like that had that Manchester United around him, I think that would help. I know a lot of people sort of don't think much of stuff like that, but I think These are all those fine margins, those sort of 1%ers that are the difference, I think, to be honest. And I think you've got to understand what Manchester United is all about. You've got to understand the heritage. You've got to feel it, and you've got to then be able to handle the pressure of Manchester United. And I think that's what a lot of players come in that are good players or have got a lot of potential, but then it's fulfilling that. And you're not just at a regular club. You're not at, sorry to say, but you're not at a Fulham, you're not at a Wolves, you're not at a Leeds United, you're at a top-end club. I know we're not looking that way on the pitch, and you could argue off the pitch too, but in terms of its history and heritage and what Fergie and Sir Matt Busby and other greats in the club have built, we need to keep that going. And I think players need to understand that and understand what we're all about. So moving on to more about United and where we're at with United, really. I think looking at the season, let's start with that. 8th in the league. And I think in my first ever video, not that long ago, I think it was back in August, I think I predicted 7th, that would finish 7th in the league, just behind Spurs. And you could say we're on track for that in 8th. Obviously, we had the hope, especially at half-time against Forest when we're winning 1-0, that we're in second position. And you're thinking, whoa, we're in second, we're miles ahead of schedule here, dreaming, what could we do with this growth? But obviously we've hit earth again, and we're sort of around where we probably deserve to be with the start we've had. And I think it's all about the next game for me. I think it's all about Spurs. If we can get a good result at Spurs, and I mean a win would be good, it won't be all is lost if we were to draw or even lose. But I think if we got a win there, that puts us right back in there. Not sure where it would put us. I haven't looked at the table in terms of the differences in points. I think there's quite a few of us that are on 17 points. I think that win is the difference. You can see how close things are apart from Arsenal that are sort of running away with it. So, like I say, if we can just finish a couple of spots a bit higher, if we can get into that European spot area, it's not, you can't say you're happy because that's not our standard, that shouldn't be our standard, but you do reset your standard to a certain extent with what you've had to watch over the years. We've had to have Onana in goals and Bayender as the second keeper, and we've had a lot of crap, so our standards sort of drop a little bit, but we do need to be finishing in the European spot so that we can buy better players, have more money and start to grow. So 17 goals so far. I think the XG 17.8, so we're not far off there. Mbeumo top scorer on 4, so it's not a lot, but he's starting to come into his own, so that's good. Bruno leading the way with the assist. It's 2, but he's still assisting from a deeper position. So as I've said before in other videos, he can start a game poorly or just not have a great game overall, but he can always get involved in the stats point of view, whether it be a goal, an assist, a penalty, you name it, corner kick, whatever it may be. He's generally always involved, or as I call it, that assist before the assist or the pass before the assist is generally involved. So that's where you can't generally knock Bruno. Right, just general thoughts on United under Amorim. So like I say, I've been critical, but I think that's been fair. Didn't have a great start. I appreciate he didn't want to come in when United forced him to leave Sporting part way through. So I can't sort of defend him for the start that we had when he first came in. He's had a pre-season now. Okay, he had a decent start against Arsenal, I keep saying, but we lost that game. Grimsby, I can't forgive any of those players for that game at Grimsby. So it's been sort of hit and miss, and those 3 wins in a row were starting to change everybody's minds. He was getting asked less about his formation, and it was looking good. It was thinking, right, this is the guy that's turned around Sporting, and the club before that, and starting to show his abilities as a coach. And then we get that draw at Nottingham Forest. I mean, again, I'm not going to sort of put blame on Amorim per se. And as he's rightly said himself, normally we would have really thought, right, now we're 2-1 down, that's it, and heads down, and that's it. But we did come back, and we almost won the game if Ahmad's shot wasn't cleared off the line. So overall, I think he's done okay. Planning on doing a video during the international break where I'll go into this a bit more, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Just to say that I think the jury's still out on Le Mans for me, but Cunha and Mbeumo for me so far are good signings, and hopefully when they fully settle, they'll prove that. As I said before, league position, we're 8th. We're sort of around about where I predicted, and hopefully we can progress a bit further. So, just wrap it up now. Next game is Spurs. So we're down there in London. I'm not going to give a prediction right now because I'm going to save that for the Spurs preview video. So as always, please subscribe to the channel, to new channels like this. Really helps us to grow and to do lots more. Hopefully, like I say, we'll be going live soon with your support. Start to do collaborations with other YouTubers, creators, content creators. That's the sort of plan. So, as always, thank you for watching Dan Talks United. Please subscribe, please like, please share, and I will see you on the next one.